Now that we've learned about the alphabet system, let's take a look at the writing system. Did you notice that we wrote Yefre me efia? In this case, I put the verb is connected to the pronoun. Yefre, people, call. So people call me efia. That's what that translates to. And in this case, notice that the verb is always connected to the pronoun. The same applies to me de efia, which means I'm called efia. So in this case, the me is the pronoun and our de is our verb. So we put me plus de to equal me de, which is one word. They're connected together, the pronoun and the verb. Another example would be wo de ajwa. Again, we have our you are called ajwa. So we have our you, our pronoun, plus our verb. Just like the other examples, yefre, me de, wo de. You are called ajwa. Another example would be ode kweku, which is he, the pronoun, called is called kweku. So again, we've attached the pronoun plus the verb to create one word, ode. Let us look at other examples. We shall use the verb ko. Ko means to go. So in the next scene, we will show you some examples of this. Listen carefully as Teacher Kofi says these phrases for us in Akan.
Mekɔ sukuu wɔ Gainesville.
I go to school at Gainesville.
Wokɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
You go to school at UF.
Kofi kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Kofi goes to school at UF.
Ɔkɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
He or she goes to school at UF.
Yɛkɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
We go to school at UF.
Mokɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
You all go to school at UF.
Kofi ne Ama kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Kofi and Amma go to school at UF.
Wɔkɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
They go to school at UF.
Ɔmo kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
They go to school at UF.
Wɔnom kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
They go to school at UF. Now listen carefully as Teacher Kofi says these phrases for us in the car, and we repeat after him.
Mekɔ sukuu wɔ Gainesville.
Meko suku wo Gainesville.
Wokɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Woko suku wo UF.
Kofi kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Kofi ko suku wo UF.
Ɔkɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Oko suku wo UF.
Yɛkɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Yeko suku wo UF.
Mokɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Moko suku wo UF.
Kofi ne Ama kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Kofi ne Ama ko suku wo UF.
Wɔkɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Woko suku wo UF.
Ɔmo kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Omo ko suku wo UF.
Wɔnom kɔ sukuu wɔ UF.
Wono ko suku wo UF. So what's important to note here is when we have a pronoun and a verb, they're connected. When it is a noun, they are not connected. Again, this is a pronoun and a verb connected, pronoun and verb. But when we have Kofi, it's separate. Kofi ko. And in this example, it is the last three that are very important to know. In this case, we have the pronoun and the verb are connected for they. This is another example of they. But when we use omo, it is separate from ko. So pay attention to that. Omo space ko. And if we say wonum, which is they also, it is separate from ko. It is separate from the verb. So in these particular omo and wonum, in these cases, the verb is separated from the pronoun. But in the case of woko, the pronoun and the verb are combined. When the pronoun comes after the verb, it is not written together with the verb. For example, we have the word nim, which means to know. For example, onime, which means he or she knows me. So note here that we have our pronoun, he or she, and it is connected to the verb. And following it comes the pronoun, me. So we connected he or she plus nim. He or she knows. Who do they know? Me. In the course of our studies, we shall learn that some tense forms occur immediately before the verb. If these forms occur with the pronoun, they are all written together. For example, I could say, me reko suku, which means I'm going to school. And that is me plus re plus ko. And where I'm going goes here, suku. So I have my pronoun, me, my ing, like making the verb active, which is our re, and then our verb, ko. They're all connected together to make mereko, or you could say meiko suku. Another example would be wobeko suku. This translates to you will go to school. So we have you, wo, plus be, which is our will, plus ko, and then where we're going. Again, we're adding these, they're connected together. The pronoun is attached to the future will, and it's attached to the verb, which makes wobeko, you will go. Another example would be wako suku. And in this case, we have our pronoun, he or she, has, the A represents the perfect, has gone to school. So we have our o, he or she, plus a, plus ko, to make the sound wako. Wako suku. He or she has gone to school. If the subject is a name or a noun, it is not written in these tense forms. So here are some examples of this. We have Kofi Rekosuku. Kofi is a name, therefore it is separate. It's separate from our verb and our tense, is going to school. In this sentence, it translates to Kofi is going to school. And when we write it, we have Kofi separate. Kofi, space, re, plus ko, is going to school. So note that the verb and the tense are still connected in these sentences, but the name of the person that we're referring to is separate. Another example would be abofra, no, beko, suku, which translates to the child will go to school. Now, in this case, we have the child, which is our noun, and it's separate from our verb and our tense. Again, we have our be plus our ko, which equals beko. And so the child will go to school. But note, we've separated these. We have not attached the noun to our verb and our tense in this case. In an example of the perfect tense, we have kwejo, ako, suku. And in this case, we have our kwejo is separate, it's our name. We have our has, gone, are perfect. They're connected. A plus ko, ako, suku. So note again, our name is separate, but yet we still connected our tense, our verb, and our tense together to make a plus ko is ako. And then the place is school, suku. A question you may be asking yourself now is there a time when the pronouns are not written together? We shall learn that when the pronoun is followed by forms like na or die, they are not written together with the verb. So in this case, in this sentence, we have me na me ko suku wo UF, which translates to I am the one who goes to school at UF. Another example would be wo die wo ko suku wo Santa Fe. Which means as for you, you go to school at Santa Fe. So what's important to note about these two sentence constructs is that when we use mena, they're not connected. So notice that. And it also for wodie, they're also not connected. Teacher Kofi, how come when we wrote medinde efia, we are not the dinde is not written together?
The reason is very simple. Here we have me, okay, which is a pronoun, and din, which is also a noun. Okay, so din is not a verb. If it was a verb, then we will connect the two.
Okay.
So we are talking about din, which is a noun, and me, which is a pronoun. So they are not connected.
There are two more things to talk about. In the previous lesson, we learned that a difference in tone can bring about a difference in meaning. The one problem, however, is that the tone is not written in Akan. So, if you see the phrase papaye, it could have two meanings depending on the way you pronounce it. You could either say
Papaye,
which means doing good is good, or
papaye,
Father is good. So the important thing to note is that the context will help you determine what the right tone is. Another thing that is not represented in the written system is nasalization. Nasalization means that the sound is pronounced through the nose. The O in so can be pronounced in two ways. So listen carefully as Teacher Kofi says these two pronunciations of so for us.
son. That is to be big, son. And so that's on top.
Here are two sentences to provide an example. You could say,
Akonnwa no so.
which means the chair is big, or
Akonnwa no so.
on the chair. In the first sentence, the son goes through the nose, and in the second sentence, so does not. So in this case, the first so has a different tone from the second. In some cases, the tone is the same, and only the nasalization distinguishes between them. One example is to. When the O in to is pronounced through the nose, it means to bake. When it is pronounced without the O going through the nose, it means to throw. So listen carefully as Teacher Kofi says these two sentences for us in Akan.
Kofi ton pano.
See, that sound went through the nose. It was nasalized, so that means Kofi bakes bread.
Kofi to pano.
And this one was not nasalized, this to. So it means that Kofi threw bread or throws bread. So how do you distinguish between these words? For the most part, the context helps determine which one it is. Keep this in mind. Listen to the words well when they are pronounced to determine which tone is used and whether the vowels are pronounced through the nose or not.